Welcome to Toronto and Tilt Live. I'm Steve Artabella with Anthony Harris and Theo Giordano. You can find us at our website, torontoontilt.com. You can find us streaming live on Twitch, Toronto on Tilt. You can find us streaming live on YouTube, Toronto on Tilt. You can find us on Twitter at Toronto on Tilt. And of course, we'll post the audio of this podcast anywhere that you listen to podcasts. That's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Breaker, Bleaker, all the things. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends. Some things have happened. We talked about the World Juniors, and there was an insane boat race. Yeah, there's also John Madden passed away at 85 today, which is kind of nuts. Just like, because John Madden's basically be like, if you're someone who's our age or in the range of ages that the three of us are, like you grew up playing Madden and listening to John Madden commentate football. Like he is a massive part of football. So it's definitely a sad day, especially considering it's an episode we plan to talk a lot of pigskin. So it's kind of ironic and
very weird. Yeah, I know. And I just randomly, like this weekend, I was watching an old Eagles game. Like so it came up my YouTube suggested. I clicked it. It was from like 2009, and he was still broadcasting games. I'm like, he was calling games for like how many years? Like
oh god, he retired. Yeah, exactly. He retired early,
30, 40 years.
Yeah, he retired early with the Raiders and went straight into broadcasting.
I also saw a thing today where he like got drafted by the Eagles, and I think he got like a career-ending injury in one of his first practices, and then just went straight into coaching and then broadcasting. Wow. So. Very, I'm sure a lot of that's going to come recently in the coming days, but yeah, very sad loss.
And that documentary just came out, didn't it?
Just came out Christmas Day, which I haven't watched yet, and now I'll probably watch it sometime.
No, this weekend. Yeah, exactly. Gotta check that out. So that happened. Back to sports real quickly. The Leafs might be playing at some point at the end of this week, but we'll
allegedly.
See. Yeah, exactly. Like they said that they might be playing a game, and we'll see because everything keeps getting postponed. Half the team still has COVID. The Raptors played with 4 guys and 4 G League guys, and the 4 guys they had were Delano Banton, God bless his soul, I love him. Chris Boucher, Yuta Watanabe, and Svi. And then 4 G Leaguers. Like I'm sorry, yeah, they lost by 40. Did that surprise anybody with 8 guys and half of them play in the G League and the other half are at the bottom part of the rotation?
I was pretty happy with the first quarter. I'm like, they're kind of keeping this close.
They gave
and then
the effort.
Just all fell apart,
yeah, and hey, Siakam and Gary Trent Jr. and Malachi Flynn are back. They're playing right now against Philly. It's pretty close in the first quarter. But until we see the team together, it really doesn't matter. There's not much to talk about for Leafs. There's not much to talk about for Raptors just because until it starts to normalize a little bit, like until the NHL actually figures out what's happening with the Canadian teams. And, the Raptors get all their guys back from protocol. We might as well just get right into football. So
we'll get into football. We'll do a little bit of recap on last week. We've selected some of the good games, some of the important games, as week 16 is a very pivotal week. The first one, Christmas Day game, Packers, Browns. I mean, first of all, the Packers have not been covering spreads the last few weeks, and that's something they haven't been doing a lot. They've been doing a lot lately, just covering every game. The last 2 they haven't. But as far as this means for the playoff picture, pretty much secures. I think the Packers, if they win next week, might have a shot at just clinching that 1 seed based on some different tiebreaker things. The Browns, devastating loss, pretty much sinks them. There's too many teams in that AFC to jump over now. Anthony, what did you think of what happened in this game? And
Well, I think the Browns should have won this game easily, really, but Baker Mayfield had other ideas. He was complete garbage. He threw horrible interceptions. And then at the end of the game, the ref stepped in and made sure the Packers won it with
the no call
on the
Rasul Douglas pick. Yeah.
Who is turning into one of the best interceptors in the NFL right now.
Dude came off the Cardinals practice squad. Like, that's what happened.
Yeah, Eagles got rid of him, and I just forgot he existed. He just came out with the Packers, and it was amazing.
Yeah. Now he's of course, you would remember that he played with the Eagles.
Oh, yeah.
I think another big storyline was too Aaron Rodgers' toe, because they talked about it a lot because he kept limping around because he kept getting stepped on. Still looked great. And yes, Baker looked like trash, but Kevin Stefanski throwing the ball when it wasn't necessary, when you have Nick Chubb.
Yeah, Chubb was going crazy. I don't know why they were throwing so much.
And especially at the end of the game there, like, what? You could have tried to run it one time. You had to throw it all those. Like, what were you doing? Like, what are you doing? Who's the best player on that offense? Nick Chubb. I don't know.
If they ran it every snap, they would have had a better shot at winning that game. It's just Baker's so hurt and ineffective. It's just like every time he plays, you just feel like something disastrous is going to happen, and it's been happening. But
I don't get also why another thing, it doesn't make any sense.
He's too tough for his own good, I guess, and just one of those football mindsets where you're like, I've got to play through everything, and then I think it's just going to hurt him in the long run.
I was hurt last year, so that's why I was bad.
And they also need to start taking the ball out of his hands a little bit more and let Chubb run the football. But
another thing happened: Aaron Rodgers touchdown record.
Oh yeah, pass. Brett Favre did that super quick, right down Lazard, right off the hop,
with like 150 fewer interceptions. What was the number?
I think it was like 97 or something like that.
Brett Favre leads the NFL in interceptions. He leads the NFL in interceptions. Like NFL history, he's thrown the most interceptions. So
I think it's by a lot too, right?
I wonder if you adjusted the eras from like. Back then, they threw more interceptions. Is how the game was, and today they're the quarterbacks are more efficient.
Yeah,
I wonder if you adjusted that, how much of a difference it still is.
But Rodgers has always been insanely efficient. You know what I mean? Like
even
he's been the type of dude. Exactly. Like he's been the guy that throws like 37 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Like Rodgers has been special that way his entire career.
But I'd take Aaron Rodgers over Favre any day of the week, any era. I don't care. Hot take.
I bet you there's some like in Green Bay during some Christmas dinner, some like old people takes versus young people on the Rodgers Favre debate. I bet you that's a very hot.
Well, if you're going old, they're probably going Bart Starr, and they're like, in my day.
That's the grandfather generation.
Exactly.
Versus the father versus
the
son.
Also, the personalities are so different because Rodgers like California guy, whatever, and Favre is Mississippi.
Not to mention, Favre also kind of burned a lot of bridges on his way out. So I don't think there's people that remember him fondly, but I don't think there's a lot of people that forget he played for the Vikings.
He was just sending his dick out everywhere too.
Oh yeah, that also didn't help him. That was in New York though, in that one weird season where he played for the Jets and was really good until he got hurt.
Yeah, they were like 7-2.
Yeah, and then he tore his bicep or whatever and tried to play through it because he wasn't going to break the streak, the start streak, and then they lost every game.
Yeah,
they lost like 6 straight or something down the stretch because they fell apart because he was playing hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Packers are dominant. The Browns are a mess.
They played like they were in that game. Like they had their chances.
True. Tony's
Speaking
Colts.
of dominant,
I was gonna say, Tony, you should take the lead.
Anthony,
here.
Go ahead.
Yeah, break this game down for us, buddy. 22-16.
Quentin Nelson, Darius Leonard, Braden Smith. I can go on and on. All the people who were out for COVID reasons. The line moved. It was a 3-point switch. Arizona was favored. Everyone on TV was saying Arizona's going to win. It was a clean sweep. And what happened? Carson Wentz stepped into Glendale, Arizona, and had a okay game. He played okay. Really, it was
Jonathan Taylor carried the team.
I wouldn't even say they didn't even run the ball that well. The defense was great. They completely shut down Kyler Murray. He had one big run. They had their chances at the beginning, but then they completely stopped the rest of the game while Carson Wentz made the big plays when he needed to. Michael Pittman, 8 for 82, had a great game. T.Y. with the touchdown. Just an overall team effort. It wasn't Taylor had a big run at the beginning to set up their first score. But otherwise,
Carson did have a stretch though that was like very concerning.
That's why I said it was okay and not amazing. It was really good in the later stages, but yeah, the beginning looked rough, keeping Arizona in the game. But he didn't throw an interception. Taylor was kind of held in check too, and they still managed to win. That says a lot about this quality team. So I was a bit surprised that I didn't think it was a sure thing they were going to win, but they did. And now they're basically one win in their next 2, and they're a lock for the playoffs.
And the Cardinals are a mess, like absolutely falling apart. Second season in a row where they have a hot start and start to fall apart.
And it's not even just Hopkins being out, because that's a huge loss, but like the coaching again for Arizona is their biggest issue. And it's been their problem for 2 years now, where down the stretch they've just been terrible. They haven't been able to hide behind Kyler's great play to put them over the top in these games. And I don't see how, like, this is the most obvious one and done team in the NFL.
Yeah, like they're looking like for a quick
they're wild card bound
offset
right now. Like they're not even division.
And
they were 1 seed 2 weeks ago.
And the funny thing is, with the extra game, like, you have to keep winning. This is going to be wild for Arizona. The way this is breaking, the way that they're losing games like this.
Yeah. And like they traded for Ertz. Like I think they had how many throws go to their tight ends and running backs? I want to look that up now. It's 16 catches from the tight ends and running backs. They were like the wide receivers again. AJ Green, nothing was happening outside, and Hopkins being out doesn't help that. But like they need to figure something out, because it's just like this isn't
even with Hopkins. Hopkins wasn't even getting targeted.
This was a weird season for him. He wasn't getting hyper targeted the way he normally is. Kyler was spreading it around more, and the offense was really thriving. And now everything seems to be jammed up, which is just. It's wild. And Kyler doesn't look like the same quarterback. There also seems to be like he could just run for 5 to 7 yards, and instead he throws into triple coverage. And you're like, what the hell was that decision? Like there's been some wild decision-making things where you're like, where did that come from? How did you think that was going to turn out positively? So.
Yeah, he's pressing, they're struggling trying to make a big play happen instead of just taking the easy yards. And I don't know, the coach should help out a little bit, but I don't know. He's definitely on the hot seat for next year if they keep falling this way.
Rams and Vikings. The Rams just keep winning.
And in spite of the quarterback.
As much as they try to lose this game.
The Rams have had a few games like that, actually, this year, where they're a weird team. You know what I mean? Where they have, like, because they have the names that they have such of the high end, like Aaron Donald, one of the, 5 best players in the NFL. Jalen Ramsey, maybe the best corner in the NFL. Cooper Kupp might be the best receiver. You know what I mean? Like, you have these guys, and you see them, like, they score so quickly, and then, I don't know. And not to mention, they were also dealing with a massive COVID outbreak. Like, they got guys back, but that's the problem with their team. We always say it about the Rams. They are stars and scrub put to life. Like they have a bunch of great players, and then a lot of players that they've lost some depth pieces in the offseason last year, and they're just trying to piece stuff together. And when you have Stafford doing what he's doing, like
he was the scrub.
I'm not going to trash this guy because I feel like it's easy to right now, but the hype this guy got before the season and the beginning of the season just didn't match his actual level of play, and it's starting to come. Like you're starting to see it, like with the Cardinals, you're starting to see how they're not as good as people were hyping them up to be. It's the same with the Rams. Like Matt Stafford is just not that kind of guy, and he's a good enough quarterback to get you to playoffs and win a few games. But like, I don't trust him to elevate that team to a Super Bowl level. So
I mean, he's better than Jared Goff.
How much he's better than Jared Goff?
I'd say a pretty decent amount.
Well, it's like the same record they had last year, so that's
true.
How much is he really adding to this team?
Yeah, well, and the Vikings sticking around too without Dalvin Cook, who basically is the thing that makes that offense go.
Well, I mean, they had massive. 3 interceptions and they did nothing with it. They had 3. They had to kick the field goal at the end when they were down 10. Like it was really, they should have won this game for sure. But really, I guess
the Rams also had that special teams return. That was part of the reason
they had a punt return touchdown. But give some credit. I guess the Rams defense played well. So
yeah, Sony Michel really went off too. Heard those Cam Akers footsteps and said,
who's coming back from a torn Achilles this that's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. Yeah, I know, it's insane.
Yeah,
absolutely insane.
Yeah. Now the game of the week. Oh, I was right.
Theo, just go off, bud.
I'm not gonna say if you watched the show 2 weeks ago. You didn't even need to watch the NFL the last 2 weeks because we just said what was going to happen. The Buffalo Bills beat the New England Patriots in the way like that I thought they always could. Josh Allen elevated this team to a level. He has that ability to elevate the Buffalo Bills to be an elite team when he's going. The New England Patriots, on the other hand, like Mac Jones is fine for the situation they were in. He put the Patriots in a position to win a few games. They played well, but that's the peak of what they are this season. Overall, the Buffalo Bills are just a better team. I didn't understand why they were dogs at any point coming into this week. The line ended up moving to I think they were pick'em odds by the time it was kickoff. But the Buffalo Bills that's just what they are. They're a better team than the New England Patriots at this point. And I think with the neutral conditions, obviously favored the Buffalo Bills. And we just saw the Buffalo finally play a little bit more to their capabilities. And even still, there's still a lot of problems there. Like Josh Allen had to do a lot of things to disguise a lot of their issues. But that's my point with him, is that he's so good, he's capable of disguising those issues. And on the other side, New England doesn't really have that.
Well, that's the big difference is the quarterback, I would say. Like Josh Allen, elite of the elite, top 4 guy at least in the NFL. Mac Jones, he is what he is. He's a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, just learn it. And that's a massive statement win for Buffalo, especially after getting embarrassed by the Patriots in that 3-pass attempt game in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And didn't it feel like last game was perfect for
New England,
the Patriots, and they tried, and the Bills were trying to play that game. And in this game, you saw the Bills going for it on 4th down a bunch, and then you saw the Patriots go for it on 4th down a bunch. Like it felt like they played each other's game plans in both these games this year, and we saw what one was more effective in a neutral state, and that's why I think the Buffalo Bills, got it done.
Yeah, which is kind of funny, being like they need to win this game. You want to see them win the division, and it's almost funny where you're like, ooh, you don't really want to see them get a home playoff game because you'd rather see them go to a dome stadium or somewhere warm. So that Josh Allen can ball out and the coaching staff doesn't do something stupid like decide to run the ball with Zach Moss or Breida or whatever. Singletary looked good a couple of weeks ago. Not as good against the Pats, but they're a great defense. He was effective. Josh Allen was effective on the ground. He was obviously spectacular through the air. He was effective on the ground. And yeah, Josh Allen was the difference.
And the Bills still can get run on, but like past defense, we were saying without White, like how is this team going to be able to adjust? And they seemed like
having those safeties though is still like Poyer and Hyde. Like to have those safeties, it's still a massive loss to lose someone like Trey White, but to have those two guys be able to take away the middle of the field to help double team receivers with the other corners, it's just it's something.
And the Patriots,
something special.
And the Patriots are lacking the skill guys too. Like they don't have the skill guys to separate and make plays, and that was apparent, really. So
yeah,
that was one of our concerns with the Patriots, where it was like their quarterback is Mac Jones, and
he's throwing to Jacoby Meyer and Kendrick Bourne, and you know what I mean? Exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So I don't think we're going to talk about them going for Week 17. So you guys think this division's a wrap? Like, do you think there's a chance?
You don't know. There's a chance. They've already slipped up once. Yeah, exactly. Over. You can't the way this division is, the way these teams are, you can't, and especially the way the NFL's been this year, the way the AFC's been, you know what I mean? The way football's been this year, you can't write anything off. It's just been too wild.
The way the NFL is, like maybe the Dolphins have a
Dolphins.
shot.
I was just about to say that. The only team ever to lose 7 games in a row and win 7 games in a row in the same fucking season. Like, that's insane. And you have to respect the Dolphins, like, with all the Deshaun Watson talk, and is everything, like, you know what I mean? Like, is Brian Flores really the guy? Like, for them to go on this streak, it's quite impressive. So, Chargers.
Speaking of, this is the definition game of you don't know what the fuck this season's turning into. The LA Chargers losing to the Texans in a way that they've kind of been losing all year.
The Chargers are still the Chargers. This is classic Chargers, like play down to your competition or choke it away. You know what I mean? This is they can't and it seemed like they were changing it. You know, the new coach who likes to go for a 4th down, the analytics driven system, and the young quarterback with the huge arm and all the offensive weapons. And you got Austin Eckler, who's just like Mr. Underrated with a 17 total touchdowns, 1,300 scrimmage yards. I know Eckler was in COVID protocol, but my God, it's the Texans.
And the Texans have like 15 guys out too.
And is Davis Mills better than Trevor Lawrence?
Yes, this year.
Or the Chargers, who are they?
What's happening?
They were missing Bosa, Derwin James. Who else on defense? I think that Davis Mills, he played a great game, but I mean, that was
the Texans were missing a bunch of guys too, but they just all stink, so no one said anything.
Yeah,
like they also have the same issues.
They missed their best offensive player in Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
right?
Like, this is the same thing with the Chargers though. All year they haven't stopped the run. It's just been a constant issue, and I know we're a passing league and all this, but like when you get shredded like that on the ground, it's just so demoralizing for your team, and it's been a problem for them all year. And I don't know, like, where do they even stand right now? What do you even think? They need help to get in the playoffs now. We just assured they were going to be in 2 weeks ago, and now it's like,
I mean, just for entertainment wise, the NFL's been wild this season. Like, no, you don't know who's good, you don't know who's bad. Any week, anyone can win. But like, you look at the Chargers, and it's just, I can't have any faith in that team. Do you know what I mean? Because like one minute Herbert throws for 400 and something yards, 5 touchdowns, and they're destroying a team 42-20, and then this happens against the Texans. Like, it's just no consistency, and as hilarious as it is, it's the same old Chargers. This is what always seems to happen with them.
Yeah. And with the Texans too, like I think everyone looked at that team before the year started, and they were like, "This is going to be a historically bad team." But when you have a bunch of veterans like they have who are playing for jobs, and they're just all professional NFL players who, you know, they're not like the younger teams that like they don't know how an NFL season goes. Like these guys know how it works. They're going to play very hard to get their next deal, and that's kind of what's been happening with them. Like they've been playing up, and their quarterback play has been way better than people thought it was going to be.
Oh,
like Davis Mills is not that bad of a quarterback for a team. He's obviously not going to be a career, franchise starter, but like for a spot starter, he's shown that he can do that for like 3-4 games.
Or a third-round pick. Yeah, it's a home run.
That's like a great pick, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's been the best performing rookie quarterback in this class that was supposed to be, generational class of just the most elite quarterbacks, and they were going to be the next layer of the NFL, right? Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance eventually, and Davis Mills. Yeah.
I think that's all the Week 16 thoughts. We can get into Week 17 if you guys want.
Yeah, sure. Let's go for it.
Okay.
The game of the week here, obviously. Had to throw it in there.
Eagles and the football team. Your Eagles should beat the football team.
I mean, yeah. As well, they're going to be more healthy this time around. Like the first time they played, it was just like a skeleton squad for Washington. My whole thing on Washington, this is why I wanted to play them healthy. I didn't believe Heineke was very good. I thought he was... No. He had moments where he can play like Fitzpatrick and elevate, but like there's too many balls
he's a backup quarterback.
He throws some of the worst interceptable balls I've seen.
He's a backup quarterback.
And the Cowboys game we saw last week with Washington was on full display on the problems they have with him and the rest of the team. But
I want to ask you guys, 42-0 at half. Like that was
42-7. Oof. And then it finished, I think, 50-something 7. Or they might have scored a touch at the end.
56 to whatever.
That was some next level.
I think they might have scored a garbage CD. I have a question with you because I'm not really nervous for this game, but I feel like I should kind of be because this feels like a game where, when you get embarrassed the way you get embarrassed on a primetime game. Is this a bounce back spot for them, or is this we've quit? This is just how the season's going to go.
Well, I would say the Eagles are that kind of team where they would get ahead of themselves.
Play down to their competition and lose.
I mean, they beat the shit at a lot of teams this year, though.
That'd be such an NFC East move is for the Eagles to somehow lose to the football team.
Well, the last Washington game,
that was different though. That was a alternate schedule. But look at how that game started though. The Eagles had 2 really unlucky breaks that happened against them, and then right after that they corrected it and dominated. That was never a point where it was 10-0 for Washington, and you thought oh, they're killing them, they're playing way better. It was just a couple of bad breaks, off a heel interception and a fumble. I didn't feel like Washington was playing well to get that lead. That's why I didn't see it the way you're seeing it right now.
I guess, yeah. Well, there won't be no Miles Sanders. Jordan Howard, I don't know if
Jordan Howard, they're hopeful he plays. They just signed Kerryon Johnson, which he had a couple games. Remember when he was a top pick in fantasy a couple years ago?
Yeah, he was with the Lions. And people were calling their fantasy team Carry On My Wayward Son. It was awesome. Yeah. Playing the song. It was a great song by Kansas.
Yeah, he's been hurt a lot. So, the Eagles running back room, obviously, they've been keeping the quarterbacks apart for the big C word to avoid that.
Connor Bedard scored a hattie, apparently.
Yeah, I saw the hats on the ice. I didn't want to break our conversation.
Yeah, but, sorry. Well, we were going to mention
the
juniors eventually. We were going to mention the juniors at the end of this, but Canada scoring lots of goals, running show. Connor Bedard. That's a natural hat trick. That's a natural hat trick. He scored the 16-year-old has scored a natural hat trick. I know they're playing Austria, but that is insane.
Yeah, we were questioning how effective he would be because, like, a lot of these kids in this tournament that are 16 that play don't have the most success.
Well, you even see, like, McDavid, I think it was something like 4 points in 6 games. Like, even exactly the best of the best. Now, again, it's Austria. This Canada team is stacked, but that's still goddamn impressive.
He's better than McDavid now, I guess, right?
I wouldn't go that far.
The numbers don't lie. I think that's the case here.
Right.
That's World Juniors math.
But back to the NFL. Anything else on the Eagles? And the football team?
The Eagles they can clinch this week somehow. Like, they just need Minnesota to lose.
They should win, which means they'll probably lose.
Well, I'm trying to keep that negative. I thought you guys were going to be helpful with this, but you're obviously, the other side.
I'm a Falcons fan. Do you expect any sympathy from me?
No, I just, it makes.
Yeah, you're not going to it's more exciting, or because it's not. With the Eagles, like with the Eagles making the playoffs, like it's not like more exciting or.
Well, if it's Philly and Dallas, that'd be a fun game.
No, that'd be all right, I guess.
That's what it's lined up to be right now.
They'd lose by like 17.
It would be like 09 where the Eagles lost week 17 to Dallas like 24-0, and then they lost like 34-7 or something in the playoffs. Like that's the vibe I'm getting from that too. But
yeah,
I don't know what you can do. That's all there's gonna be no problems. Is what I'm trying to say. The Eagles are gonna win this game.
No way. No way there'll be any problem.
All right, on to the next one.
So Rams.
Wait, who's playing quarterback for the Ravens? Like, is Huntley going to be out of the protocol? I mean, with the new rules, I guess.
I think everyone's just going to be out.
I don't think there is really a protocol anymore. Is Lamar back? Josh Shaw? Like, the Ravens are a mess. Like, they have no corners. They're constantly getting torched.
Yeah, didn't the Ravens lose their only, like, starting corner last week?
Yes.
In game. So, like, both these teams, we had bad things to say about the Rams earlier, and the Ravens has been like the same kind of story where it's like they've fallen apart mostly because of injuries and stuff.
Yeah,
well, it's an absurd number. Like no one can really maintain that.
You lose all your running backs before the season starts. Now you're on your third quarterback. Like it's just, the Ravens are getting screwed. They've lost all their corners. Like it's just. I don't know what this team is anymore. You know what I mean? Then they have that crazy go for 2 when they could have just tied. Like, it's just.
I agree with that still. You know what the problem with that play call is? They didn't do it the play before. They called that 2-point conversion when they were down 14 to make it like a 7-point game.
No, that's exactly.
Made it 6 instead. Because then you have no shot at it. Like, that was the problem.
You're right. Exactly. But it's just. The Ravens are in a bad way, and it's unfortunate because it's not like I blame Harbaugh. When you start to lose what they lose, what the hell are you going to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's only so much. Like they've been other than last week, they've been pretty competitive, which is a credit to the coaching staff.
Well, exactly. Look what Huntley's done in leading comebacks at the end of games. Like it's been nuts. But the Rams should win this game. And if the Rams find a way to puke up on, throw up on themselves and lose this game, then you're worried about anything the Rams could do. And that's especially if Lamar doesn't end up playing. So, yeah. Unless you guys have anything else to add.
No, I'm just, Rams in control of everything again. And we'll see. Like, I expect this should be a great bounce back for staff.
And if you have Cooper Kupp in your fantasy, like if you're playing in week 17, it's the fantasy finals, and you have Cooper Kupp. He's going to have 200 yards and 15 receptions against the Ravens.
He's not actually.
It's going to happen.
He's never not been 10 yards open on every play.
It's going to be bad. It's going to be brutal.
Yeah, I agree with that.
On to the next one.
Dolphins. I did not think we'd be talking about the Dolphins at this point in the season.
7 in a row wins now.
We can't ignore the Dolphins. As much as we want to ignore the Dolphins, we can't. Tua has done enough.
We can't ignore the best Alabama receiver drafted this year, Jalen Waddle.
Okay, that's
breaking rookie records. 10 catches on Monday, 92 yards, phenomenal.
This is what happens when you play fantasy football and you don't
He's been doing that for the past 10 weeks or whatever.
He's been very good. I think they have another good receiver that came out of Bama, but
this is also going to play like the Titans have been, especially recently, one of the best run defenses in the NFL. The Dolphins don't run the ball very well. They don't try to run the ball very often either. They throw it a lot. So I think that's what you're going to see is them really try to air it out against the Titans here.
And by air it out, it's like those quick passes that they give to just
that exactly. Well, he does throw it deep every once in a while, although weirdly not to Yaddle.
That Matt Collins play was pretty sick.
Why he doesn't go deep to Waddle, I don't understand. Like why those are all slants and shit. But
did he just ignore Waddle on a deep pass? Like he went over Waddle, who was wide open, and threw a pick in a double coverage.
I don't get it. Yeah. But at some point they're going to get that, like that will hit, and if he starts hitting Waddle on deep balls, that gets even more dangerous for that Miami offense. So this is going to be a hell of a game to watch. The Dolphins are fighting for their playoff lives, and so are the Titans.
The Titans, I think they clinch the division if they win.
It's huge.
Win or Colts loss. That win on Thursday was like. Do you think that is it the starting point for the Titans to get this turned around, or? I think the Niners a pretty decent team.
The Titans are trying to survive until they get Derrick Henry back, basically.
Well, I think San Francisco, they're kind of like right. Every time we think San Francisco has it figured out, they do that. They let you down.
I think AJ Brown coming back is the biggest deal for that team.
Oh, for sure.
Well, he's the one.
Yeah. He's the most important part of that offense.
Well, without Derrick Henry, hell yeah, it's force the ball to him. It's play physically.
I think even with Derrick Henry, I think he's more important than Derrick Henry. That might be a hot take.
I don't think anyone is more important
so much for that
passing game. Henry. Yeah, but Derrick Henry is that entire team's offense.
I should rephrase it. I think it should be their most important piece. I think that's how they should be.
I was going to say, Derrick Henry is their most important piece because he is still like you.
With how they call the game, I understand. Okay, I can.
You can't ignore the beast that is Derrick Henry when he plays, right? Like he's ridiculous.
I think if the Titans were a smarter team, that AJ Brown would be their most focused on player.
Everyone talks about how DK Metcalf went so late in the draft. How AJ Brown went in the second round doesn't make sense to me either. He doesn't get talked about enough around the league. He's a scary dude.
Yeah, man. You saw it last year. That's like the big breakout last season where you're like, no, this is a number one wide receiver. Like this guy is a star.
Yeah.
So on to the next one. Raiders and Colts. Oh, well.
Raiders and Colts.
I would have been very positive that the Colts were going to just keep rolling. I mean, I know they lost the Pats and then beat the Cards, but we'll see what happens with Carson, who's in the protocol, but the protocol isn't the protocol.
John Madden, like, the players will be playing up. This is a tough game.
These kids don't even know John Madden.
They know John Madden.
I was going to say, every single one of them play Madden, so I'm pretty sure they're aware. I'm pretty sure they're aware.
A lot of them probably don't even know he coached the Raiders. They're just too young. They don't know what's going on. They're busy playing real football.
Tony's just trying to talk
we're doing what we do to the Eagles, yeah. No, but that Carson thing, like when I saw it this morning, I'm like, that is just absolutely the most perfect Carson situation that's ever happened. Like, it happens to him all the time.
Yeah, and he's unvaccinated, so he was supposed to miss 10 days.
Now it's 5, so he can play.
Now he can play.
Well, we'll see. He's got to test negative.
Very, very sick.
Yeah, but he's non-vaccinated, so I thought that was for if they were vaccinating.
No, it changed.
It changed? Okay, it keeps changing.
The CDC's changed, yeah. We're not going to talk about it.
Nelson and Leonard will be back too. Leonard posted like a celebratory GIF, like Snoop Dogg.
Because he's been perfectly healthy the whole time. Like Darius Leonard's been
been asymptomatic, yeah,
fine. So he's been waiting to play, and it was just the day limit that was his issue. But again, the Colts have set themselves up well, where this isn't like if they lose it, they're not fucked. Like they can still make it, but
they need this game.
The fact they won the Patriots, they beat the Patriots and the Cardinals. I didn't think they'd win both.
I said you were going to do both. Very confident in your team.
They did them both. Yeah, well.
Are you excited that if Wentz is in play, you want Rivers?
Well, I don't know if him off the couch with no O-line is that much better than
Eason season.
Sam Ellinger, I guess.
Is Ellinger your backup? I thought it was Eason.
No, Eason got cut.
That
Ellinger's
was not a
the
good draft
backup.
pick.
And the Raiders, the Raiders aren't too scary. They don't score any points. The Colts would only need like 17. I think they win.
Yeah, even
Colts
the games the
this
Raiders
game.
win now, it's just like not.
The Colts should
inspiring at
win
all.
this game. They should. Like
think
Jonathan
that's what
Taylor
they
should be able to kind of carry them to the win here.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah, this is the type of game where he needs to step it up if he wants that MVP people are talking about. Which
I think he just drops out randomly at any point in this podcast.
And it's always when you least expect it.
Yeah. But, any more thoughts on the Colts, Anthony?
No, I still think they're going to win.
Yeah.
And then they'll lose next week to Jacksonville.
Well, yeah, that's a tradition. I think you might not even need the game anyway.
Exactly.
Came back at the perfect time to hear Tony say they'd win and then lose to Jacksonville.
Like it's been like what 7 years, 7 years since they won in Jacksonville. Like it's absurd.
It's been that long.
Yeah.
It's a house of horrors.
You've been favored for more than half those games.
And the Jags have been atrocious for a bunch of those games.
Well, they were a Super Bowl team that 1 year.
Well, that was
3 years ago. 4 years ago.
It was like 1 year where that was the case.
Yeah, and they didn't even go to the Super Bowl. They lost in the conference finals.
They should have, though. We all know they should have.
Yes.
The refs had it in the bag for the Patriots. We know.
Well, they also ran.
They
the
also.
ball
I was about to say
in the first half.
There was a lot of just.
It was a Doug Marrone masterclass.
Yeah, there was a lot of just scared shitless coaching in that game. Chiefs Bengals is going to be wild just because the Chiefs are getting on a heater. They just lost Clyde Edwards-Helaire again, and the Bengals and Joe Burrow look unreal. So,
Joe Burrow, man,
I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit. Okay.
Well, okay.
What are you, the Ravens defensive coordinator?
Well, no.
You said last week.
There is the thing that by DVOA, Carson. I was going to say Carson Wentz. Joe Burrow hasn't. He hasn't actually, like by DVOA, he's played a lot of bad pass defenses.
Last week was the worst possible. It couldn't have been like an easier matchup.
Yeah, the Ravens are toast at this point.
If we're gonna talk about overrated, the Chiefs' defense has been talked about like a world beaters because they've played some bad offenses,
like Dallas.
That's
Dallas with no receivers. Yeah,
exactly. This should be one of the more entertaining games of the week, though, because these two offenses should just be going nuts at each other.
I hope so.
You know what I mean? Like the Chiefs should hopefully have learned their lessons, and you should see Darrell Williams carrying the rock a bit more because they should run the football. Because when Clyde was running and they were throwing, that's when everything looked like the Chiefs again. And then on the other side, well, it's kind of the same thing because Joe Mixon is really what makes that Bengals offense go, and then it's all the wide receivers, right? So if you can keep Joe Burrow upright, because that's really what's changed with the Chiefs defense. They got Melvin Ingram and got a bit of a pass rush, and that's kind of what's changed everything because teams can't just sit back and tear apart their bad secondary. So if Joe Burrow has some time, there are so many weapons. Like this could really be like a 80-point total game. It really could be. If we have good weather, because like again, where we are outdoors, Midwest.
Kelsey should be back too. He didn't play last week.
Well, Kelsey and Tyreek, are they both unplaced? Because I know they both.
He played last week.
Yeah, Tyreek played.
Oh, okay.
So it's just they didn't miss a beat without.
They didn't need him to play to win that game, but he did play. Yeah. And this is a game. I think the Bengals can get the 2 seed if they win and the Titans lose. Right? I don't know what the tiebreaker is, but
the Bengals are doing real well this year, man.
I guess the 2 seed doesn't matter anymore, but
hey. Bengals are cruising. They can also lock up like this. I think the Bengals might even be able to lock up the North.
Oh yeah, they have like already. They swept like the Steelers and the Ravens. So I think
I think it's over. Actually, I think they basically have.
Well, they can still lose out. Like that's the one.
Yeah,
but they win there, they get it.
So big year for the Bengals and Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Broncos Chargers.
I don't even what.
We do that about half the games.
No, but like, what are you going to say about this game? Seriously, I know we broke down the other games, but like, how can you pick the Chargers when they should beat the Broncos and Drew Lock? Because I don't think Teddy's coming back, but the Chargers just lost to Davis Mills and the Titans or the Texans.
How many yards is Melvin Gordon going to get this week?
Javonte Williams,
34.
34. They're going to step up.
Well, because Williams is going to get more yards.
No, I think I got a feeling they're both going to go over 75, and they're both going to have a tutty.
Well, the Chargers are going to get guys back. They're going to get Bosa back, James.
And they don't even with all their guys the run.
Well, they're not going to be as bad.
They were pretty bad with
they're
that full
bad
health.
Against the run, man. Like they're really good against the pass, and they're
like they spent all offseason worried about that O-line, and they forgot that the run defense is really shit.
Yeah. And like they can stop the pass. Like they're really good at stopping the pass. They just can't stop the run. And the Broncos like to establish the run and are just going to turn around and hand it off to Gordon and Javonte Williams a million times in this game.
I mean, they're not going to lose.
It's going to be ball possession like crazy, and the Chargers are going to be praying that Austin Eckler's back.
He is back. He's off the COVID list, so he's going to play. I don't know if he's going to have a full rotation.
I know he was vaccinated, so yeah, I know with the
he's
new
good.
rules,
And even if they Justin Jackson, running backs don't matter. That theory, it's just perfectly proven with those two guys.
Yeah, the Broncos or the Chargers should win this game, but we've seen them choke away worse games. So.
I don't think they're going to lose twice to the Broncos.
If they win, where do they sit with this tie? They got to win and have a Dolphins loss.
They got to win out, and people got to lose now. The Chargers have thrown up on themselves as per usual.
I think they have the tiebreaker, because I'm looking at the standings now, and they're ahead of the Raiders and Ravens on the tiebreakers. So, I mean, I guess they just need to get ahead of that Dolphins, and I think their schedule, they don't have to play. I'm guessing they play probably
They play the Chiefs twice.
Next week.
They played the Chiefs twice, so maybe.
And the Dolphins have Tennessee and the Patriots next week. I doubt they're going to win both.
That's why their odds are so low. They have a 15% chance to make it just because of this.
Patriots, they have to win that game. They're not going to be sitting people, most likely. So,
yeah,
I'm cheering for a chaos scenario.
They still got a good chance.
I'm cheering for a Falcons win this week over the Patriots, a Dolphins win, and a Chargers win. You're all 9-7, and it's all just complete chaos.
The Falcons need more wins for next year. They need some momentum.
They do.
Next year, and then next year.
I hate this team that's always in the middle. And God.
You know what was crazy is that there was that Niners-Falcons game 2 weeks ago, and we're all no one was talking about it, but if they won, they were jumping the Niners.
I know, because they weren't going to win, because they're not good.
The first play of the game was a fumble on the kickoff.
I know, and they're not good, because I've said that this whole season. Even when you're hey, look, they're in the playoffs again. And I'm they're not a good football team.
Yeah, no one thinks they are. It's
you gotta talk yourself into it.
No, it's only Theo who's trying to talk me into it, and I keep repeating. I watch this team too much. I watch this team too much. They're bad. They're bad at football. Anything else before we get to Lorenzo Insigne? Is there more games that we're going to talk about?
Well, there's two more. We can breeze by them quickly. They're actually two biggest games, I think. Cardinals, Cowboys.
Yeah, can the Cardinals get their shit together? Are the Cowboys going to keep rolling offensively after what we just saw against the football team?
Defensively, it's been where everyone's been. And I told Anthony this separately, and I'm going to say it here. Diggs is going to make a massive mistake in the playoffs. It's going to fuck them. The guy's a good corner. He makes good interceptions, but he gets burned a lot.
Well, what was the game where he was on the highlight reel both ways, where he missed a massive touchdown and had a pick six?
Patriots game, right?
Exactly. Yeah. He missed. It was the Kendrick Bourne one where he completely blew the coverage and Bourne destroyed him right after he had a pick six. That's the thing with
the next play.
That's the thing with Diggs is he's a difference maker because he jumps routes, but he is a gambler and a risk taker, so he can get burnt and get burnt badly.
And Anthony was saying, it's wait till Devontae Adams has a chance to work him. That's going to be a perfect matchup for Devontae Adams, where everyone's going to be oh, look at this great corner, great receiver, and it's one
also,
guy's level above.
And in the playoffs, you know what I think about Mike McCarthy. He's just going to make the wrong decision, fuck something up, and cost the Cowboys the game.
Can't wait to see what it is this year.
Oh, that's the thing. Exactly. My God. We got to take bets. We actually should put some hilarious lines on the way he's going to fuck this up.
He's going to fuck a timeout in the first half.
Oh, I was about to say the timeout, that one's fucking something up with a timeout is minus
55-yard field goal.
Dude,
he's going to punt on 4th and 2.
Messing something up with a timeout with Mike McCarthy is the only one who is higher than that would be Andy Reid.
He's fixed that issue.
Yeah, because he hired a coach to remind him. He has a guy. Mike McCarthy should learn from that and hire a guy.
I mean, he should know from his trip through analytics school that Yuri got fired, but
that he admittedly lied about. he admitted that he lied about that.
Yeah,
that
it was very
the best.
obvious. It's like when you tell, like, yeah, I studied, and then you go into the test and you just don't know one question. That's what happened.
Yeah, like the Cardinals are in free fall. The boys are kind of rolling a little bit. So
And I want to talk about the 1 seed, so we might as well just get to this next game now. Packers and Vikings. Basically, like the Cowboys win.
I think the Packers are just going to beat the hell out of them. I don't think this is going to be very close.
I'm nervous about this. I'm more nervous with this than the Eagles' actual game because the Vikings already have beat them. The Packers haven't had that moment where they've just lost a weird game, and they've had some moments recently where they've let some teams come in the back door. So,
divisional matchup at home.
Vikings choke job again.
There's too many things in this for me where I don't know. Like the number's probably going to be way too big.
Well, it was over 7. I think it's like 6.5 now, which is a big move.
Yeah,
from the look ahead. Moving over 7 is a big deal.
Yeah, I don't know what it's going to end up at, but I can't see the Packers losing.
Back too, so that'll make them think a little better. But it's more that defense, that Viking secondary is the worst in the league. On paper, it should be the
They're
Packers.
so bad. And they give up big plays too. You know what I mean? So if they get Valdez-Scantling back, Devontae Adams is the big play guy, and Lazard can do it too. But the guy who you see on that Packers offense blow the top off more often than not is MVS. So you put him back on that team. Like it could get really ugly for that Vikings team. Like really ugly, really quick.
Well, they never get blown out. They're gonna find a way in the game.
Well, then they'll score a bunch of late touchdowns, and again, it'll be within 7. But
I mean, we saw Chubb last week go off. Dalvin Cook's probably gonna do the exact same thing.
Yeah, he could. I also see Aaron Rodgers torching those corners. You know what I mean? Like I see it happening.
Like he did. He had a great game last time when they lost.
That's true.
And this is still a huge game for the Packers. Like if they lose this Cowboys win, that 1 seed is now a question going into Week 18. I know they want to lock that up again.
Well, and with Rodgers' foot, they want to lock it up in this game and try to get, you know what I mean? Like he'll start that final game, but he'll probably only play like a series or 2.
Well, this is a good Sunday nighter. I'm much better than last week.
It means something for the entire NFC playoff picture from the top of it to the bottom of it. So it's exactly what you want. And
exactly. Primetime matchup, division matchup at Lambeau in the snow, probably.
It is going to. I was going to ask.
Well, I hope it does, just to make it.
I watched that entire Seahawks game just because of the snow. I'm like, I just got to see the snow.
Of course. And
because of Nick Foles.
So is that it for the NFL?
Yeah, I think that was.
All right, so really, I guess we mentioned the World Juniors already. There's not much to really dig into because they beat the hell out of Czechia, even though they went down 3-1 and then beat the shit out of them. Owen Power with a hat trick.
I can't get used to that,
has a natural hat trick.
I can't get used to that. Because it sounds like it's an older country that doesn't exist anymore. When in actuality,
it sounds like I'm saying Chechnya, which is exactly. It's confusing, but whatever. That's how they want it pronounced. That's how I'll pronounce it. So that's that. The Canada's pumping teams that they're better than. That's no surprise. Back to Lorenzo Insigne though. So this is a thing that happened that I honestly can't believe what happened. I know a lot of people, TFC fans, you're going to look at the size of Insigne and that he's Italian and it's like Giovinco, and I wonder if he'll be as good. The difference is Lorenzo Insigne carries a team, does it in the Champions League, does it in he is one of the brightest stars in Europe. He won the Euro as one of the most important players on that Italian team.
I'm surprised you didn't wear your Italian stuff, by the way.
That's actually a good point. This is completely shocking to me. It's also not like Nani, who came here when he was 34, 35.
Yeah.
He's 30, 31. He's
30.
still at the end of his prime, and in the MLS, what he could do here statistically, he's going to eat this league alive. And that's just the beginning of some of these TFC rumors. They're rumored to sign other guy, other top tier Italian.
They're doing the kicking and streaming strategy. It's just get it to the Italians. Is what they were going to run it back what they did last time when they were very good.
Worked well.
Yes.
We're great last time with Jovinko and company when they won.
That's what you got to do. Like, this is how you create the hype. And I know people who don't watch the MLS as close, they think it's like, oh, well, the only people that sign there are the ones over the hill. It's like, no, now it's a viable league because they have the money and they have the resources. Why wouldn't you do it?
Lorenzo Insigne is legitimately one of the best players in Europe, and he's going to come to North America. It sounds like it's happened. Like it's actually official that he is going to come here. It sounds like it's official. Buzz. It sounds like it's official.
I'm waiting for Fabrizio.
Yes. But
my question for you, Steve, do you think this impacts his national career?
Yeah.
Does this happen where you come to the MLS?
I was about to say, I think it's like it might be the death of his time in the national team. Because exactly the way that they look at the MLS.
But Giovinco wasn't like a starter at the time.
Yeah, Giovinco, they never wanted to play anyways. That's the only difference. Is Insigne's already broken through and been consistently one of their best offensive players, right? Like, he's already done that. Whereas Giovinco was a guy that got shunned by his club team and the national team a lot. Like, before he came to the MLS. Like, he was a Juventus player. They kept loaning him out because they couldn't find a place for him. That was just the truth, right? And then he came to the MLS where he was so much better than everybody. He was the big fish in the small pond. He absolutely dominated. He was the star. He made all the money. He loved it. And Insigne's just better.
After he was here, what league did he go to, Giovinco?
I can't even remember. I think
was it like Qatar or something?
I was about to say, I think it was something like that, where he made an insane amount of money. Or he's still making an insane amount of money.
Yeah, this is great.
I'm
a Premier League fan, and I know Steve, me and him watch United suffer together. But
that's exactly. But no,
stuff like this is what gets your attention. Like, to be like, we gotta actually watch this team regularly. Like, they're going to be fun to watch. It's a legit product, and
exactly
adding the piece they already have, it's very fun.
Well, that's the thing. If they don't add any more pieces, they're a flawed team, but they're going to be incredibly entertaining because he has a chance to score a hat trick every game in the MLS. I honestly don't think that's an exaggeration. He has the ability to go out there and score a hat trick every time he touches the pitch in this league. It's possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying it's possible.
Another question I have is, do you think if more of these signings start happening, where guys in their prime are choosing MLS because they're throwing money at them, are they going to start changing the rules with like how many guys you can have?
I don't think so, just because this league was created as a development league for the United States men's national team. That's why the league exists, and they're not in the Champions League, so it's never going to be like there's still a limit. There's still a limit because it's not the champion. Like, you know what I mean? Because if it was all about money, you would see all of the guys go play in China or go play in Qatar. Like, you would see that happen. You wouldn't see guys stay in the big leagues, right? Because it's like, well, I can make that money in a big league in Europe and be and still be the face of a recognizable brand.
So, I was wondering because like the way I see like the Greek league now, and it's shifted from like all Greeks to like half Greeks and a bunch of foreign players, and I guess that won't happen here because the Americans are so focused on developing that soccer program that they're not going to let that happen.
Exactly. Like, that was why it was a problem even with TFC and Canadians being internationals, right? Like, they had issues with that because it's built as a United States development program. It's not built.
Well, now we got the CPL growing, so we won't even need the MLS.
Well, it's good for grassroots Canada soccer because kids are getting like it's a huge like Alistair Johnson. You don't find guys like that without stuff. Like he came from Vaughan and Zuri. You know what I mean? Like, you don't find guys like that are now big parts of your national team because they can't play every day because those leagues don't exist. So, but Insigne is just massive. It's game changing. I don't know what else to say other than just like he is the opportunity to be the most impactful player ever purchased by an MLS team. End of story. And that's with what Giovinco did. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, if you don't know either of them, just picture Giovinco if he was like starting for the Italian.
They're the same size. Yeah. They're like the same.
He's good enough to start.
Insigne's like 5'5". Like, he's super tattooed.
And he's probably shorter than that.
He's heavily tattooed. They're very similar, but yeah, like he's a joy to watch. Like, he's exciting.
If you watched the Euros, you saw these guys they were talking about. Like, they were very like like visually. Like, you saw them on TV all the time.
Like I was telling Theo before this, like Spinazzola was the best player on that Italian team before he tore his Achilles, but the like number 2 arguably was Insigne, and they won the Euro. So, anything else you guys want to get to?
I can't wait to talk Canadian soccer next month.
Oh, I know. I'm so excited that game. Oh my god!
I think I'm going to the game now too.
Oh yeah, I know because your boy Jesse had a ticket for you.
Yeah, I said if the Eagles aren't in the NFC Championship, I'm going to go to the game.
They're not going to be in the NFC Championship.
There's like a 97% chance I go. There's a chance.
I guess we mentioned the World Juniors already. Anything else before we wrap this thing up?
No baseball updates, right? I haven't really checked.
Nothing.
I saw
there's the players are angry that they're not talking, but whatever. Until they're talking, who cares?
Yeah, they're just waiting until the new year.
Exactly. They'll start talking in January. So, but yeah, that's it for this episode of Toronto on Tilt Live. I'm Steve Artabello with Anthony Harris and Theo Giordano. You can find us at our website, torontoontilt.com. We're streaming live on Twitch, Toronto on Tilt. We're streaming live on YouTube, where also the video will be posted and live after. If you want to go back and watch it, show it to your friends, share it. It'll be there. You can find us our Twitter at Toronto on Tilt. And of course, you can find us anywhere that you listen to podcasts. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Breaker, Bleaker, all of the things. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends. Big things. Big things are happening.